Welcome Gemini, Happy New Year. It's 2022, can you believe? I've got an interesting chart before me here, which is what's happening to you throughout the first month of 2022. And believe it or not, it's quite an interesting chart. It's a complex chart because, as we can see here, the combination of several planets here, especially around the new moon on the 3rd, with Mercury moving out, still showing us a whole new pattern of thinking and the way you're going to be approaching the aspect of your intimacy, sexuality, and those deeper and more hidden components of your psychology, because the 8th house is a very, very hidden house. So this tells us that not just the month of January, but indeed the rest of the year is going to be really sort of underpinned by this 8th house. And you'll notice also Venus here retrograde, ruling this 5th house of your horoscope: love affairs, creativity, self-expression, all associated here in the 8th house, and with the natural ruler of the 8th house, Scorpio, which is Pluto here. So it's a very intense combination of planets. So that's the first thing. Here we see Mercury moving out into this 9th house, an educational area, an area related to legal matters, red tape, bureaucracy, government departments. This position of Saturn can be obstructive for you in this respect. And so you need to be a little bit careful that you don't get too bogged down in what may be delays or dealing with bureaucrats that really get under your skin. Keep an eye out here on Mercury, because by the middle of the month, it's coming up there in the animation, by around the 15th, you'll notice that this planet, along with Venus, will be retrograde, and it will move back into this sector, which shows us that a whole lot of rethinking is going on in this part of your life. As I said, Venus is empowered by its retrograde motion there in this 8th house. Love affairs, sexuality, and also, by the way, shared resources are indicated by this combination. The 8th house is how you share your money, how you share your resources. Let's swing down here to the lower part of the horoscope, and you'll see that on the 18th, 19th, there's full moon, and that's taking place in your 2nd house, which is your income sector. The moon in its own sign, full, of course, that tells us quite a bit of emotionalism. You may be letting your feelings get in the road of better judgment. And again, that's going to cast its light back here onto this 8th house. Later in the month also, you're going to notice the movement of Mars into this 8th house. And that's really going to be the time, I would say, when you start to take some affirmative action in this area. There's Mercury, it's gone retrograde, in this 9th house of learning. So there could be some new vistas opening up to you, some understanding that you're gaining. Not quite ready to implement it, I would say, Gemini, because that's what the retrograde planets are all about. And that moves back here just as the sun moves out of the 8th house. That takes a lot of the stress off this area, the 8th house. It's banking, it's loans, annuities, superannuation, retirement, deaths and legacies, inheritances, all of those sorts of things come under the umbrella of this 8th house. So depending on your station in life, your age, this is where a lot of the activity is taking place throughout the period of January. There's Mercury now at 0 degrees, around the 26th, 27th. It's going to head back into your 8th house, just as Mars, I mentioned that earlier, has moved into the 8th house as well. And there, these planets retrograde, along with the active prone Mars, I think are at little odds with each other. The retrograde motion of the planets shows us more deliberation and a need to get our facts straight, right? Whereas Mars and Pluto as well, which is the upper harmonic of Mars, are really hell-bent on action, decisive action. There could be a bit of ego involved in there. So I think there's going to be a bit of a tug of war within yourself over, getting things moving, taking the initiative. It's the beginning of the year, gung-ho, but at the same time waiting for these planets. Well, on the 29th, Venus goes direct. That's a welcome relief. At least on the matter of your relationships, I think that's going to make things a lot easier. Mercury, however, that's your ruling planet. That's in this personal, hidden sector of the zodiac. Still requires a lot more self-analysis. Mercury also rules your family life, Virgo down here. So you might sort things out in your personal one-on-one relationships with your spouse. Jupiter ruling your 7th house as well, placed here in the 10th house. Great for expanding your career. I think this has more to do with self-reflection, self-knowledge, and self-awareness. And that's going to continue there till the end of January. Wow. I hope I didn't go too fast. Look, if you want a more steady sort of pace, go over to astrology.com.au. I've got the whole month there outlined for you in a chronological order. I've also got 3,000 words plus on what's happening in 2022, an overview of the year. Plus, I've got the videos there as a snapshot of 2022 for you as well. Don't forget to drop me a line if you want a more personal sort of reading. That's not a bad idea at the beginning of the year, so you can see where you're headed. Subscribe. I hope you're doing well. I hope this new year is going to be great for all of us. Take care, and I'll see you in the very, very near future, February, I hope. Bye-bye.